You guys can win a pair of tickets to see Billy Currington and Kip Moore in concert with special guest Jade Eagleson at Meisner Park in Boca at the end of June. If you guys want to win, keep on listening to our show for details. It's a Live Nation show. Anybody else punch the sky when you guys saw Vic Fangio this weekend at the media day?
It did hurt. It did hurt. It did hurt.
It didn't. I mean, listen.
Fangs. That's what I did.
The players didn't want him here.
But why?
Didn't mean he wasn't good because here.
Well, I don't think he wanted to be here either. I think he was. I think the feeling was mutual.
He's more of a Northeast guy.
Here's the deal.
Surly.
Sometimes we cherish the interactions and not the results. So the defensive guys felt that the interaction with him was more important than the results because they weren't a bad defense.
And this year they were not a bad defense, and it seemed like Anthony Weaver tapped into a lot of great stuff. I mean, that Eagles defense is great too. You know,
right.
Like it's one of those things where, but I think people look at the whole, it's a top to bottom thing. I think he had some quotes about, what's the Eagles organization? He goes, it's completely different top to bottom. That's my old man, because the old love to talk like that. And I think it's just one of those things where it feels like anybody who gets out of here goes on to greener pastures.
Usually if you're good enough to be here, you can pick the jobs you want. So let's remember that. Right? I mean, he didn't go to a scrub defense. He didn't go and say, I'm going to be the defensive coordinator with Peterson back in the day at Jacksonville. That wasn't the case. He went to a team that had just been to a Super Bowl a couple years ago.
Yep.
So, yeah.
He said, this is from Dave Behrman, PFN for Pro Football Network. Vic Fangio on what went wrong in Miami, quote, nothing really. Up until the last couple of games, we ranked very high in defense. We were top 5 in every stat. We lost 6 of 7 starters over the last few games.
Yeah.
Guys off the street.
No, so I, again, sometimes we tend to look at, oh, this coach is hard. Oh, I should be doing this or I should be doing that. And we're not look at how good our defense is. You don't have to get along with your coach. You and your coach don't have to be buddy-buddy. You don't need to have a say in the defense. If your defense is top 5 in every category, that means you're doing it right.
But the thing too was, you lost both of your star pass rushers. You were getting guys off the street. I think the thing that was so interesting about it afterwards is you just saw the reaction of, Holland, Jalen Ramsey.
Right.
And everybody was like, oh, it must have been bad there. But, obviously the guy's resume speaks for itself. That's the fact. I mean, the guy has been one of the best defensive minds in the league for a long, long time.
It's kind of like you're 15-0 and your star receivers complain about how many opportunities he gets.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. And sometimes, how Spo would say, we enjoy each other's success.
Yep.
Well, it's easy to do in basketball because you play 82 games.
Mm-hmm.
But to be happy about somebody else's success and the overall team success, at the end of the year, you might have a talk from the organization and say you weren't as good last year. And you can't just say, oh, that's because of the defense we were playing. They're going, nope, give me some of that money back.
When you watch the Dolphins defense this year, one of the things that was fascinating is they weren't a defense that turned anybody over. So for a secondary that seemed to complain a lot about roles or being able to impact the game, that their safeties had 0 interceptions this year. It wasn't a team that could take the ball away very much. I know that Fangs is a little bit more, bend, don't break, maybe not as aggressive, but I mean, it is.
It wasn't like you were more aggressive this year, and it's not like it made that much of a difference with the turnovers.
Right.
Now I don't know how much of that is the
The
player.
sacks, obviously, I'll give a pass to because we know, like, you're basically playing with a rookie and Agba's, who knows what Agba's got left in the tank, and Calais Campbell and Sealer are holding it all together with duct tape. But he said, another quote, Fangio on the difference between Miami and Philly, quote, "It's just a whole lot different. The whole organization, top to bottom, it's just different. Not to say one is better than the other," end quote.
Well,
When you
it's
say it's
different. It's different, and one franchise seems to be on a different trajectory.
Yeah.
One of them hasn't won a playoff game. The other one's in its second Super Bowl in the last couple
3
of
years.
Yeah.
So
This is their third Super Bowl of the decade.
I give him credit though. He could have buried us. He definitely could have buried us.
But again, it's not like he didn't have success. I would say if he were to have a complaint,
Mm-hmm.
I think his complaint would be because
old
people don't like to discuss their decisions.
That's true.
Old people like, because I'm coach, damn it, do it.
Yeah.
Right?
The old love to keep things under wraps.
And that might rub people the wrong way. But again, if you play sports, you've had difficult coaches.
But
the end result is winning.
Here's the thing, though. If you're him, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you're Vic Fangio, you think he probably looked at the other side of the ball because he basically got carte blanche at the defense, right?
Yeah.
And if you were to look at the two teams, I mean, they couldn't have more opposite offensive philosophies, right? Like the Eagles are basically just an offensive punch you in the face. Yes, they have skilled guys like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, but everybody knows them for right now Saquon Barkley and the tush push, where the Dolphins is all fast dudes razzle dazzle. That's like, so if you're Vic Fangio and like that was last year with no Jonnu Smith last year it was basically all Tyreek Hill when he was here. So if you're Vic Fangio and you're like, you're probably just like,
you're putting a lot of situations in the fourth quarter where your offense can't run the clock out and you have to devise a plan to stop them or you lose. Yes. But that is more of a team build thing. That still has nothing to do with the success of the defense, although anytime you fail in that situation, they're going to look at the defense not stopping them. And I would tell you a defensive coach or a defensive-minded guy would say, that's because we can't run out the clock.
Sexy Sauce says the translation to the Fangio quote was no disrespect. It kind of feels like we got hit with a no disrespect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's true. I've said this all year.
I know
until you come up with a plan that you can run the clock out in those crucial moments of a game, that you're always going to open yourself up to either the comeback or no clock, no time being off the clock, and your defense is always going to be put in a difficult situation. That is a fact. So if you're a defensive-minded coach and you're playing, think about this. You're a defensive-minded coach and you play that two-shell and you play bend but don't break, right? But then your offense goes and throws 3 quick passes and it's 3 and out. That wears on you.
You think that he's ever used the term with Mike McDaniel to his associates on the defense? Hey, you got razzle dazzle boy over there.
Or he's yelling, "Run! Can we run the football?"
Definitely. For sure.
It's weird. It's weird. One of the crazy things about this offense is you can lead the league in rushing while not being able to run the football at the most pivotal moments in the game, which is a weird dynamic to an offensive team. It really is. If you're leading the league in rushing, that means with 4 minutes left to go in the game, you can run the clock out. That's what Philly does. That's what a lot of teams would. That's what Detroit tries to do. There's a lot of that. The Dolphins can't do that. So I could see how a defensive coordinator would get frustrated because you're always getting put in these tough spots at the end of games because your offense can't close the deal.
Take a break. We'll mix things up on the other side. Back after this.